$133,000 in a lawsuit for the Quackenbush water revenues that were lost, that would have to be paid to the village. It was found that the county didn't have to pay those, so the village now has to give back $133,000. That lawsuit would be dismissed by the county if they decided to take option one. Water and sewer rates for the new jail, proposed correctional facility, would be that similar to that of the Lowe's project. What we would do is 2.5 times the residential water rate for usage and 1 3/4 times the residential sewer rate. And that would approximately bring in about $60,000 with a 20,000 gallon per day hookup or usage. Also included in option one is the reinstatement of Herkimer's share of the $300,000 worth of sales tax. A few years ago, the county legislature rescinded a 1%. That would be reinstated to about 0.5%. If the jail was to be built, the savings that we would have by building a jail would allow us to give back that share of $300,000 for the village of Herkimer. That would be approximately $20,000 annually. Again, that was with those figures back a few years ago. Those figures may be increased because of increased sales tax revenues. So they would be equate to about 0.5%, could be more or less depending on figures. And we would also help with the some concerns that the village has with flooding issues at the bottom of College Hill, particularly the Little Ambrose Drive area. So we would help in that regard. Option two that was made, and again, I don't know if I mentioned, but these offers were from me, Chairman Bono, to the village of Herkimer on a one-to-one basis. I did solicit the majority of the legislature to see if the votes were there, and I was confident that I had enough votes to bring these forward to the floor. So option two would be a flat $1 million paid to the village of Herkimer throughout the build-out of the jail, and that would be worked out with details later. Now, whether we paid half in the beginning and then 25% as the build-out went out, that all had to be discussed. But that was something that was fluid, and so that flat $1 million would be option two, along with the $155,000 sewer hookup, also the dismissal of the Quackenbush lawsuit of $133,000 and the flooding. Option three would be a flat $600,000 that would go to the village, paid through the village again, to be determined how that would be paid out once construction started and then the building was occupied. Also in option three was the reinstatement of Herkimer's share of the $300,000 sales tax, as was previously mentioned in option one, and that would be for the first 2 years. After year 3 and beyond, that $300,000 would go to $600,000, which would be about a 1%, probably more now, share, and that would bring in approximately $40,000 annually to the village. Also help with the college flooding issue. So that's option three. It's important to note that prior to me becoming chairman, offers were made from the past legislature. There was an offer of $400,000. I believe it was me that went to the Public Safety Committee. I tried to get votes to increase that to $800,000. I had achieved that at that time. That offer was made to the village to give them $800,000, and that would be paid $400,000 up front, and then $400,000 paid in 20 annual payments over the course of 20 years. And they were, at the time, they were facing a sewer project that was $1.6 million, I believe. So I felt that paying half of that would be fair and amicable. I remain hopeful to this day that the village would take one of these options. I have heard nothing back from the full board or the mayor outside of that they were busy working on their budget. I know they have some fiscal concerns right now that they're dealing with. I would have hoped that some of these options would have played into that budget process and helped them. Again, I have heard nothing back. At one point, I even gave I did meet with myself and Vice Chair Mr. Poplinski, met with the village on, I believe, the 12th of March, at a meeting, special meeting. We sat down, we talked, I proposed these. At one point, I even gave the pen figuratively to the board, and I said, please come up with something that I can take back to the legislature so we could have some resolve on this issue. I had a few questions that they wanted answered. I have heard nothing back from them as far as the questions that they wanted answered. Haven't had any type of question from them, to be honest with you. So I'm waiting for those. I still wait to this day. I'm hoping that something can be reached out that's amicable and fair to all the taxpayers in both the village and the county. So in the meantime, there's a pending litigation lawsuit with the county and the village of Herkimer that involves zoning change on the property in Route 28, coupled with the water and sewer, domestic, well, for the water and sewer hookups. The village is currently denying us the hookup to the sewer system, and that was coupled with the zoning that was put all in one lawsuit, and we're waiting for a judgment from the courts. So until then, I know I have the support of the legislature right now, majority. I know I could get 9 votes to move this along. I don't know if I'll have those votes should a favorable ruling come down from the courts. So, and with that, that's it in a nutshell. If press has any questions, I'll be happy to entertain those.
Why do you think the village is rejecting or denying it? They're taking so long to accept an offer?
My guess, and my guess only, is that they're waiting for the court's ruling. Again, I've been sincere in my efforts to help the village. I would hope that the village board sees that. I don't see anyone else coming to the table with a solution to the issue. And I hope that this really can be worked out. Again, I know that the village has got some financial concerns that they're working on. And again, I hope this would help them. We're losing money as a county taxpayer. I represent all the county taxpayers, not just the village of Herkimer or my district, Schuyler. I represent them all. And with these lawsuits, they're just wasting money. I think a solution can be had and soon.
And what do you mean by the court's ruling?
Well, if the court rules in favor of the county, then we could potentially commence in a very few short months, and that would save us money on, the longer this delays, it costs the project probably $300,000 or $400,000 a year. Escalation rates are what, at 3.5%, I believe, Mr. Wallace. Every year that goes by. So that would save the county taxpayer, along with the village taxpayer, which is the same taxpayer. Let's face it, folks, we're talking about the same taxpayer here. So that rate would be saved as time goes on.
So is this lawsuit the village against the county or the county against the village? Who brought the suit, basically?
Initially, it was brought on by the county to get the sewer hookup, which was denied by the village. And then subsequently the county or the village enacted a law to change the zoning on the property, trying to halt the project or obstruct it, and then the county followed suit in trying to have that reversed. So it was initiated by the county for the hook. Actually, it was obstructed by the village. County sued, and then again, the same thing with the zoning issue.
And when do you expect a ruling? Any idea?
That's up to the judge. Hopefully, that's 30 days have already passed, plus or minus a few days. I would expect within the next 30 days, I would hope that something would, I don't know what the time frame is as far as the judge's ruling. I'm on at the understanding that it's 60 days. So I would hope within 30 days that the judgment will come. But again, once a ruling is made, whether it's, if it's in favor of the county, then, there's some legislators that feel that nothing should be paid. But right now I have the votes. And it's pretty much what I'm saying to the village. I have the votes right now. After that, I don't know, all bets would be off. And again, this is Jim Bono talking, as chairman. I'm one person. I did talk to majority of the legislators, and they said that they would give me the support if the village, pulled the trigger on one of these three options.
Who has to approve what for this thing to actually be formalized?
If the village came back and said, yes, we're interested in option 1, 2, or 3, it would go to the committee level, and it would be discussed at the committee level. If they decided, to go ahead with my option, then it would go to the entire legislature as a vote.
They'd have to approve it, and then it would have to be approved by the village legislature?
No.
Or rather, council?
Well, initially, yes, it would have to be given the okay from the village.
Okay.
Once we got the okay, the resolution from the village, then I would bring it to the Public Safety Committee and the Ways and Means Committee.
So it's on them to approve it first?
Right.
Did you present these in the form of legislation to them?
Not a formal presentation. I did talk to the chairmen of those committees. I talked to individual legislators that made up those committees. I talked to other legislators, mainly the majority, and to see if we can get the votes, and those votes were required. And
so if they come back and say, yeah, we'd be willing, then you put it in the form of
it
legislation?
would be formalized, right?
You want them to pass it first, and then you go through the county legislative process.
Right.
And that would be it then? I mean, a vote of the legislature is the last step before you can move forward?
Right.
Okay.
Also to ask you to address some of the criticism you're getting about the process that was undertaken to move to build this correctional facility. Some are saying they don't want a jail in Herkimer County, others want this jail in Herkimer County. Can you talk about the process and also public input?
By law, the county of Herkimer has to maintain a jail. Whether it's the current jail, when we board out, we've been told by the Commission of Corrections that should we decide to do that, they would take away our variance at this jail, and we would only be able to house 4 inmates. Currently, we have around 82 inmates, 60-something, I believe, Sheriff, are boarded out. The 62 are boarded out right now, so that leaves us another 20 or so, 22 or so, that are actually boarded in here. Because of the structure of this, or the setup of this, our classifications, if you know anything about that, we can only put certain inmates in with other inmates, and because of classification, there's 12 different classifications, and it makes it difficult for the size of this jail to accommodate it. So therefore, we have to board out. And again, we're at the 62 level today, so 80-something inmates out, or currently in our facility. The second part of your question was?
Well, about public input.
Public input has been, this jail issue has been here before this is my 6th term. Been here, it was here when I first was elected, it was here before that. There's been plenty of public input. There's a few people out there that think we don't need this jail. We shouldn't build it as big as we say we want to build it, and that's well and good, and we listen. We've studied it to death. It's going to come time and a point where the Department of Corrections is going to tell us enough is enough. We have to go with this. And the figures that we have show that we're going to save money. Right now, it's costing us over $1 million to board out, and that money can be put towards the cost of the new jail and pay for the bonding of that. Just to refresh you, there was a 0.25% implemented, sales tax implemented a few years back, 4 years ago, or so.
Yes.
Plus more. And that's brought in, current jail's about estimated to be around $33 or $34 million. That's brought in, 10 or 12, close to 12.
With the tobacco money?
With the tobacco monies and the sales tax, we already have close to $12 million in our piggy bank for that.
What about a different location? There seems to be some contention with this PNC location. Others want something else to be done with it and so forth. Were there other considerations looked at?
The PNC site is a commercially zoned property. We're cognizant of that. At one point, I talked to the mayor, and this is not in the options, but if we have to build our septic system and not be hooked up to the village municipal sewer, part of our negotiations, or part of the offer would have been to keep the frontage on that property and turn it into retail space. But if you look at my options, they have made the village whole. The village's main concern, for quite a while has been, you're taking money off the tax rolls. You're taking property tax off. We're losing sales tax. Water, and you're using more water. Well, if you look at those options, I've made them whole on all those options. Property tax would be paid, water and sewer rates would be paid 2.5 and 1 3/4 times more than anyone else is using. So I thought it was lucrative. I mean, that's my opinion. I thought it was a good deal.
So no other location was
There
considered?
have been many locations studied. Again, this has been a 15-year process. The whole county was looked at. Literally the whole county was looked at. My district was looked at, town of Schuyler, way out, out there. This just seems to be, the best spot being because of location. There also is a statute saying that, we have to maintain, the sheriff has to maintain an office, although he can maintain an office, but it just makes sense that the sheriff's office should be with the correctional facility or public safety facility. And, as far as people saying, well, that PNC site would make great commercial, there are other sites in the village that are being looked at. And, I do serve on the IDA board, and we do get inquiries from time to time with the village, and, we do present we had in the past presented the PNC site, and believe it or not, they just say it's off the beaten path for them. So, for what it's worth. It makes sense. It's within probably 3/4 of a mile of the current facility. We wouldn't be using any more water than we currently are, outside of 3,000 or 4,000 more gallons. So as far as putting any undue stress on the village water system or sewer system, it would be very nominal.
Have you guys thought about splitting the cost between the county and the village as a compromise? Is there a way to compromise paying for this sewer line and water line?
Well, that is. The 800,000 that was initially offered, remember, it was a $1.6 million. 800,000 is half of 1.6, so we did offer that initially. Now I've offered $1 million, which is more. I believe the village just bonded for a 30-year term or 39-year term for their sewer plant. That they spent $2 million instead of the $1.6 million. Because of the delay, it cost them another $400,000. So, $1 million in cash could go a long way to paying that.
Long term?
Again, no, probably within 3 years. We would give $1 million. How that would be divided up was up to the village and the county to be talked about. We could give them, and then this is just a scenario, but we could give them half up front and, 25% during the build out and then the 25% during completion of the project. So, again, that's just a scenario, but we could work on any one amendment.
I know you said the village was waiting to hear about the lawsuit, but what have you heard from them is the reason why they really don't want this jail, or why it's so difficult for you guys to come up with an agreement with them?
First of all, they've wanted us to come to public referendum. We can't do that. We're elected officials. Under the law, it can't go to public referendum. We've done our due diligence. We've looked at everything. It needs to be done now, to save the county money. I'm sorry, there was a second part of the question?
Well, yeah, this is an issue that's been on the table for such a long time. Why is it taking so long to come up with a solution?
Well, I think I've come up with solutions. I don't hear anyone else, including, members of the legislature, and I'm throwing anyone under the bus, but I've been working with members of this legislature. I'm reaching out. I hit the ground running. I said that when I took office, that was going to be one of my main concerns or goals to have coffee shop talks, and I've done that. And you could ask some of the trustees and the mayor. I have reached out, but the response I'm getting is, and they're not excuses. They're I have to get back to the board. We're working on something else, and I've asked specific questions of the mayor. I've asked specific questions of the board, and I've heard nothing in response.
Why do you think that is?
Again, I believe it's that they're waiting for the response of the judge on the lawsuit to see if it's favorable or not. And, you know, we feel we're confident that I mean, to change the zoning after 3 years is arbitrary and capricious in my view.
Let's say the lawsuit does fall in your favor, what's the next step there?
Both committees, Public Safety and Ways and Means, will have to decide how they want to progress with this, but, you know, we would, if I had anything to do with it, and I would push that we begin construction and apply for the required permits and do everything, you know, our due diligence in building.
So that means that you would have access to a sewer system and you could start building on the PNC site?
I mean, unless there's an appeal by the village, but again, I would hope that they you know, wouldn't do that. Lawsuits cost money, and time and time again we go to battle, and there's really no need to this unless you sit down and talk, and that's what I've tried to do. I can't be any more fair than that, and more sincere than that, and I'm just a little bewildered that I haven't gotten any more of a professional response from the village.
What do you say to those who believe that bringing this jail in the village will change the spirit of the village, so to speak?
You know, you have to remember, this is not a state penitentiary we're building. We're building a county jail. Every county has to have a jail. These are people that are already in the community. They live here, they live next to you and I. We're not bringing in families. You know, my argument is this, you know, people say, well, you're gonna bring in families to the community. Well, if we're boarding out, are our families leaving and going to Oneida County or Fulton County or Montgomery County? No, it just doesn't happen. That argument, I can't, you know, doesn't fly with me. This is a county jail. These people are here. They're 1 year and less felons, 1 year or less felons. The average stay is probably, what, Sheriff, 3 months?
3 to 6.
3 to 6 months is an average stay. And then they go back out into the community that they came from. So to say that we're bringing in, you know, families from the city or up north or Buffalo or whatever, that's not proven, and it's not an argument in my case.
Can you give me sort of the general overview of the proposed project if you were to move forward? I mean, do you have a set of, you know, designs and a cost figure and all that kind of stuff ready to go?
Cost figures around between $33 to $34 million. There's a team working right now that's looking at, that are looking at plans and developing plans. That's been done to get a jump on the project, should we, you know, everything go favorable in the county's way. Once those plans are finalized, you know, and we get the okay from the village and a settlement is reached or whatever, they would be presented to the Public Safety Committee. They would be reviewed again, and be scrutinized by the entire legislature. I would hope that, and I know that everybody would have a crack at those plans and have their say on it. Once it goes there, then we go to Ways and Means, and they would, again, scrutinize it there, and then we come up with a final vote.
To satisfy the state, you need it to be more updated and to have more cells? Am I understanding that correctly?
The current proposition is about 130 cells.
But the building currently is falling apart. Is that basically the issue?
It's not falling, it's a 30-year-old building that's occupied 24 hours a day. Unlike our homes that are occupied, you know, 9 or 10 hours a day. So it's a commercial institution that gets beat on. Is it old? Yes. Is it falling apart? No. In the past, the county has made close to what, $800,000 or $1 million?
$500,000 to $600,000.
$500,000 of improvements on it, and it meets our needs right now as far as what it can hold. The problem is we're overpopulated. You know, we're overcrowded.
When you said 130 cells, that was a proposal, the new one.
The proposal, what we're working on is 133.
And how many are there currently?
41 legally that can be housed. Again, That number is hard to attain because of classifications, male, female, minor, male and female, minor, mental health issues. So again, 12 different classifications. So it's hard to work that into a 41-bed facility.
You said there's a little over $10 million in the piggy bank, but the jail is going to cost $33 million. So where's that other money coming from?
They don't mind, the sales tax would stay, and then through the property tax. But, we believe, in talking with Mr.
Jim,
Yes.
Just real quick, the bond that we feel, Mr. Bono alluded to this earlier, our bond rate is very good. We have no bonded indebtedness. We're looking at about a 2.65% rate on any bonds that we go for right now, which is phenomenal. The sales tax brings in $1.5 million. We feel we'll be able to pay the whole facility off without using any property tax money, current property tax money, in about 10 to 12 years.
How much of a bond are you looking at? How much borrowing are you looking at?
No more than 19 million, probably closer to 14 or 15 million.
You said you had 14 already.
10 to 12.
But by the time the project's finished, the other dollars will be there from the sales tax.
You got to remember, Herkimer County has traditionally been very conservative. As Mr. Wallace alluded, right now we don't know anybody dying. I think we're one of the only counties in the state that can say that. We're proud of that. Although we will have an expense here, we think we can pay that off relatively short term, 10 to 12 years. Outside of, there wouldn't be a 30 or 40-year bond on this. We think we can do that. Bond rating, like he alluded to again, an A+ bond rating. That's because of the fiscal conservativeness of the county in the past. So all those things played in. Now is the time to build. Labor rates are down. We get calls from on other projects. We talk to other counties that are doing projects, and labor rates are down, interest rates are down, material rates are down, insurance rates are down. So all that coupled, together makes for the perfect storm, if you want to, lack of a better term, to build it. So any delays, would, like I said earlier, would probably cost $300,000 to $400,000 more in interest rates. The scope is, or the rumor is that they're going to go up soon. So.
How much of a tax increase are villagers looking at once you can put boots on the ground, so to speak?
I'd let the village tax rate would go up. I'm not familiar with that, but it would be on par with every,
Currently, there's $4,000 of village taxes, and I think if you look at Mr. Bono's proposals, 4 or 5 times the offer. So this project should not cause the village to raise property taxes.
At all?
Correct.
I'm counting. I know, like, again, the village has their budget, and I think they're looking at 10% raise right now on the village end, but the counties, as Mr. Wallace said, would be flat.
This project would not add to their deficit.
The counties, but the villagers are looking at it.
Village, that's a whole separate budget and a whole separate issue. I read last week, I believe they were looking at close to 10% increase in the village tax. Don't hold me to that, but you may want to, I think I got it from your sources, so you want to look into that. Again, village tax would not go up on a county end.
Is this Quackenbush lawsuit the same lawsuit as the one, is this a lawsuit about having access to the sewer system? Or is that something
No.
else?
I wish our county attorney would, it's quite lengthy. The Quackenbush lawsuit was, in premise, or an idea, it was the village had allowed Quackenbush to continue to use water without charging them. Quackenbush went bankrupt. The village sued the county to make them whole on that. There is a law out there saying that they would have to make, the county would have to make the village whole on that bill. Actually, it was a tax, and we argued that. We won that. We were defeated the first time. The second time we appealed, and through the appeals court we were victorious in that. We did make the initial payment of $133,000, and we did pay that to the village, so they have that money, and they would owe that back to the county. So in part of those options, that would be dismissed. That would be a wash, the village would keep that money just for.
Very well said. I just want to clarify my statement. The question was, does this project have an effect on village taxes? It has absolutely no negative effect. What the village does with their responsibility, with their operation, is their operation. But as far as, I think your question was, would this project have any effect on the village taxes? It would have zero negative effect on the taxes. Because currently it's about 4,000 to 5,000. Mr. Bono's offers, dwarf that.
Do you have a breakdown of the details of this project?
This is only changed from, what are the number are
The
they?
zoning change, would just exclude correctional facilities within the village. And, we do have, I can get into some stuff, but I'm not going to, but I think it was arbitrary and capricious on the village's part. We did start this project probably 3 years ago. It was one of the sites that was the key site. And now to change it midstream just seems that, it's an obstruction on the village's part. And I knew that going in with these options, but I am sincere about it. I'll still listen to the village. I hope they would reach out and give me a call in one shape or manner, and we can come to a resolve on the issue. Any other comments? Questions? Okay, well, thank you all for coming, and again, I have handouts here if you need to. Thank you.